the stage for you and your panelists. And we're really looking forward for exciting and interesting content from you guys' side.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So, first of all, welcome to our Urban Smart Mobility panel. And from that point of view, I would like to introduce myself a little bit briefly as the co-organizer, and want to give you a little bit info about the format and what we are doing within the next 60 minutes. My name is Wolf Schlachter. I'm CEO and founder of DXB Management. We are an innovation and strategy business execution company based in Buxtehude, nearby Hamburg in Germany. And so far, the company was founded in 2007 by me, working for more than 10 years in media, IT, and telco. Additionally, worldwide with big brands and startups. We are nowadays working worldwide in different business segments, so like automotive, energy, manufacturing, and logistics, and many others. So keep it simple. From the introduction, you will find us at dxbe.com or visit us on our LinkedIn or my web page. So far, this is quite easy from that point of view. We decided to start these activities from activities with the Israeli Economic and Trade Mission, because we had lots of requests in the last years to collaborate, to bring partners in Germany together with Israel and vice versa. So it was also always a mission so far on both sides. And now I want to welcome Charlie Levine. Welcome, Charlie. Good morning.
Hi, Wolf. Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks a lot. So from that point of view, nice to have you on board. And let's start through. I also want to introduce Nir Zohar. Good morning, Nir. Welcome to us. I want to introduce Stefan Dengler from ChargerQ, and last but not least, Andreas Zuweme from eRocket Systems. So let's start through. Good morning together. So I want to start with my first panelist so far. So Nir, are you ready? If Nir can't hear us, so any others? So we can even change the program a little bit. Charlie, are you ready so far?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so then we start with you. You are one of the, let's say, initiators and CMO of your company. Can you explain a little bit what you're doing and what you're working on? So I've seen lots of interesting things on your website. So from that point of view, I think it's a little bit a different activity comparing to standard charging and EV charging. Electron provides a shared energy platform. What does it mean so far? And what differs you from, let's say, other, charge point operators in the segment?
Sure. So Electrion's offering wireless charging for a whole range of electric vehicles. That's everything from private vehicles up to HGVs, very large trucks. And in addition to having the charging technology be completely wireless, we're able to offer it in any mode. So that's parking, if the vehicle's parked, it's slow moving, or if the vehicle's driving at speed. So that's the technology side is pretty unique when you think about that. To the best of our knowledge, we're the first and only company to be able to demonstrate that dynamic charging, the charging of vehicles as they're driving on public roads in multiple locations across Europe and in Israel too so far. I think what makes the technology so interesting and so different to the other charge point operators like EVBox and the rest of them is two things. Well, once you take the technology of charging and you put it completely underground, then you're enabling some different things. You're enabling the technology to be in locations where conductive plug-in charging can't be. So if you looked at a bus fleet operator, today their option is to have overnight charging at the depot, for example, and what that makes it challenging. Sorry, Andy. Andy, could you put yourself on? Yeah, thanks. So that makes it very challenging for them as an operator, because they're very concerned about being able to finish their operations. You know, the vehicle of the bus only needs to be operating in a slightly warmer day, and they need to turn on the AC, or it's slightly cooler, or there's a few more passengers than they'd expected, and suddenly they have genuine range anxiety. But having the wireless charging means you could put it in locations where you couldn't have plug-in charging for the fleet. So, for example, at bus stations or terminals that are typically inside the city. And when you have that, it enables this like a opportunistic or top-up charging throughout the day. So that enables massive savings for the fleet operator. They can reduce the battery, the grid connection that they need is much lower, and the technology, the energy requirements are much lower. So spreading that energy demand over space and time really has an impact for the operator.
That sounds cool. My first thinking was, how do you handle this in regions where you have a lot of heat and even, let's say, icing or snow? So wintertime as well as extreme summer times. So how is it possible if you have an iced road or something like that? That's quite interesting to hear, maybe for thinking about northern part of Sweden or Finland on the one side, and on the other side Tel Aviv or other regions where you have more than 40 degrees in summertime.
And that's exactly it, Wolf. I think our public projects that we're doing are enabling us to test the technology under pretty extreme conditions, right? We have one pilot of an electric road system in Gotland in Sweden, and it's very cold there. There's snow, there's ice, there's mud buildup also on the road. And the technology in this instance is completely unaffected. The energy transfer between the technology under the road and the receivers under the vehicle is completely unaffected by that buildup. And in, like you said, in very hot conditions like we have here or throughout the rest of the Middle East, where we deployed our first test system over 7 years ago now under the road. And even with the asphalt road heating from very hot days like we have here in the middle of summer, no effects to the technology and the ability to transfer energy from it.
Sounds cool. Yeah. So you're not focusing on, let's say, open areas or public areas. So what I heard, so more bus depots or, let's say, truck logistics centers and so on, where you have, let's say, more space and even it's more easier to install your technology. Maybe you can tell a little bit about what you have to install and how that such a system looks like, from the components on the one hand side, as well as the controlling and the platform capabilities and functionalities.
Yes, absolutely. So you're completely right. We're looking at fleets, particularly fleets that operate, they drive longer distances, and the vehicles themselves are larger, simply because we can provide more value to these fleets from day one. You know, we offer that reduction in the battery capacity and a reduction in costs. And we're looking at fleet customers as opposed to putting it in public locations for pretty simple business reason. You know how much each vehicle in the fleet travels, how much energy it requires, and you know how much energy you need to provide. And from the business perspective, you're able to calculate exactly the utilization rate of your charging system. And I think that that's an interesting trend we're seeing in the public sphere at the moment, right? It's kind of a deploy and see a kind of approach, right? And we have multiple operators, charge point operators, deploying their technology along highways or gas stations in locations that make sense for the public, but they're all competing for the same customers. So from our perspective, that's part of the issue. And in terms of the technology and the components of the system, so we have a management unit takes energy from the grid and transfers it to the roadway in the instances that it's the dynamic charging or the electric road system. But it's the same technology that we would use for a paved area if we were doing static charging, or if we were doing semi-dynamic charging, which is for slow-moving vehicles, like at port entries, for example, where you typically have queues, or at taxi ranks and queues in front of stations and airports. Because there what you're doing is you're utilizing wasted time for charging time without any difference or effects to the fleet themselves or their behavior. So we have the management unit, and that powers up to 100 meters of electric road. Or in the static application, up to 60 vehicles. So, wow. Yes, it's quite a big difference there when you look at one charging station can power one or maybe 2 or 3 vehicles if you have multiple outlets. But that our technology powers multiple vehicles simply because we built it with dynamic first in mind. So you take that energy requirement for 100 meters of road, and you can transfer it for vehicles that are parked or slow moving. And then there's the technology under the roadway itself, copper coils encased in rubber, that on a principle of magnetic coupling, they transfer energy to the receiver or receivers directly under the vehicle. And then that whole relationship, the energy transfer from the grid to the road, from the road to the vehicle, is managed by a software real-time management system that monitors the amount of energy being transferred, and ultimately will be the billing system, because we're building our business model based on charging as a service. So so a big difference for the operator, not having any upfront costs, not needing to purchase all of the charging infrastructure. We want to finance that ourselves and offer the service, the convenience of the service of charging.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, because if you say you have to charge 60 cars in parallel via one unit, you get the information. So that's quite a difference to, let's say, the business all others are doing here, from that point of view.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Charlie.
Thank you.
We're gonna intense the discussion later on. Now I want to jump over to Andreas or Andy, if you can talk to me or you're live.
There is an Andy and an Andreas. Are you talking to me, Wolf? Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Andreas. Nice to see you. I see that you are not in your office. It looks like your plant.
Well, it's part of the office. I wanted to surprise you and have a seat in the middle of our motorbike production. But some people in the hall beside are deciding to do some noise, to be very diplomatic. So I have to move back in one of the little office cubicles here. But anyway, once we are ready, I can show a little video so we know. You know what we are doing here. You know it anyway, but the audience might not.
That's right. Apropos video, I heard you have a short video for us as well. So about your activities, and it should be shared right now, maybe. Let's see.
Yes.
It's coming. Yeah, perfect.
It is time to take responsibility and create solutions that conserve our resources, that makes the world greener and better. The e-Rocket is an electric motorcycle. The ride is only controlled and operated via the pedals, similar to a bicycle, but with 50 plus times more power. It has a fantastic acceleration and goes up to 90 kilometers per hour. A magic driving experience.
Wow, Andreas. That's fine. So from that point of view, you're the only one who's showing, let's say, metal and electric, and you're using charging as well so far from your point of view. And thanks a lot for the video, and welcome to our panel.
Thanks for having me.
You are, let's say, yeah, a multicultural guy working for many companies in the past, as some others here as well. So Nir is one of these guys as well. Also has worked in Germany, and you have been also working internationally. You have founded or restarted eRocket. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your story, and yeah, what are your next targets, and yeah, production of the pedal driven, and why pedal driven? So normally you think about the typical e-motorcycle on the one hand side, on the other side you have the e-bikes and the e-scooters, and you decided for let's say a business model between that. So yeah, just feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Wolf. Yeah, the story a little bit strange, because I'm one of those guys. You know, I've blown everything out of any combustion engine driven exhaust you can even think of within the last 35 years. But once e-mobility started, and I'm not talking about motorcycles or cars, I'm talking about these hoverboards, you know, these things you balance on. I had, I think, the third in Germany, and people looked at me, what the heck is this guy doing? I thought, hey, this is a new kind of mobility, and it's even better for the planet. So let me dig into that a little bit. And as you know, I consulted a company who had an idea of the concept of a pedal-driven motorcycle that was not working. I took it over, kept it a little bit, because in the years 14, 15, 16, 17, there was not really a buyer's market for e-mobility products. I mean, all these entrepreneurs know if you have people, you have to pay them, you have to keep the company alive. So. But finally, with my co-founders, where I think Sebastian is watching or listening, or both, in May 18, we entered here the building very close to Berlin, and started rebuilding this concept with the idea of having as a first product an electric motorcycle with pedals, which combines electric mobility, health, because you have to move, you have to pedal, otherwise this damn thing is not working, sorry. And of course, we have an emission-free product. So for me, you mentioned that I used to work internationally. I spent 4 years in Silicon Valley and was in Asia and stuff like that. So I got the feeling this combustion engine or air pollution problem is a worldwide issue. It has nothing to do with a continent. And this is what I like. I'm one of these guys. I can't think national. I can't think, wow, the German market. I'm always thinking about continents, about world markets, and so on and so forth. And I strongly believe that this product has a potential for a world market, because it's a little tiny, very fast, very exciting to ride motorcycle, which is not more combustion, because, sorry, that will end sooner or later. I would assume in the two-wheeler area rather sooner. You need a product like that where you can solve the traffic jam problems in all the big cities, because in all the big cities worldwide, they are the same. You can go from Hamburg to Stuttgart, via Berlin to Shanghai. It's the same issue. You need something small and tiny to be up front, to lead the pace. I was a little bit in motorsports and stuff like that, so leading the pace, sorry for that stupid saying, but that's always, that's a little bit inside of me. So the speed was one of the things of this product, but not the speed in terms of racing. It goes 90 kilometers. The way traffic today works, it's a very, very high speed. You are leading the pack behind you. And this was interesting. Furthermore, I see personally this not only as a product, I see it as a technology. And once we are in a better international investors position, you will see more products using eRocket technology. You mentioned where are we going, where are we? Here in the factory, we are producing those electric motorcycles already. We are selling already, we are in the market, and we are now, of course, you know, we are doing, as you said, we are doing hardware. You know, we don't have an app where we say, well, you know, we have a mistake in this app. Normally you should click on the left, but for the moment, click on the right. This is not working. If we do that, all of a sudden you don't have a break, and you know, you crash into the next track. So that means, of course, we are capital hungry, we are people's hungry. We have a mixture of motorcycle mechanics, electric people, electronic people, and software guys. So we have to combine a very ambivalent kind of group here in the company, which is a challenge, but it's also nice. We are international. Our CTO is Australian, just to mention one example. And yeah, we want to see this e-rocket on the market in above 10,000 yearly digits in the next 4 years. So let's see how it goes and how it works. But so far it's exciting because we are doing something in this mobility change. And I think this distinguished audience here, they all know we need this mobility change. There is no way without. And that's what we are trying, and that's what we are doing. And again, the e-rocket. So e-rocket, by the way, to give you that idea, it comes from electric. It comes from rocket because it has a fantastic acceleration, but it comes from IT as well. So it's not rocket like ET written, it's IT written and at the end, to give you an idea about the name. So it's not that with the e-rocket we want to overtake Elon on its way to the Mars. We are staying on the ground, but probably moving to the water soon and other things like this. So yeah, it's an exciting venture here. It's an exciting product. And we have used up 10% of our potential. 90 are still to come. This is what fascinates me. But this counts maybe for other people in the audience as well.
Thanks, Andy. So it looks like that you're focusing not only on the European market, so thinking about motorcycles, then you have to provide services in India. This would be one of the first market, as well as US and in general Asia, say it like this. So where you already had these combustion motorcycles. So that would be one, let's say, business approach on the one hand side. On the other side, you mentioned investment. How is it currently from your perspective in the market? How easy is it to get, let's say, the investors, on the table? On the other side, I've seen you have done a quite unique initiative for your funding or your investment round. You have chosen, let's say, something very special, not normal.
Let's say if we start, how easy is it to find investors? Eliminate the word easy and we can move forward. Let me start in the beginning when we enter the building. So myself, my two co-founders, there is Monika Haupt involved and Sebastian Bruch. We started to work a little bit different. It was my goal to have a licensed product on the road before we go into investors rounds, because I was a little bit sick of saying, hey, I have a prototype and here is a drawing and this will be great, give me the money and so on and so forth. So first of all, even to show how serious we see this product, we invested more than €1 million out of our own pocket. So money we worked hard for in our life. So it is. But that's entrepreneurship. I mean, if you don't are willing to do that, you are wrong in that place. The unique approach you mentioned is we did nice crowd investing because I think there's an e-mobility, a new way of thinking community out there. Unfortunately, we are in the German country and we have invented bureaucracy. So we can only do that in Germany, but it was successful. We made it, I think we are soon before making it up to 400,000 euros or something, which is, and don't get me wrong, which is in this industry, not a lot of money, but it brought us to the next level because, as I said, we invested the money before. Finding investors as direct shareholders, we can be happy where the media guy in our company. We have a German first league soccer player as investor in our company. But again, since the product is hardware, if you grow, I mean, if I get an order, you mentioned India, we had a visit from the Indian ambassador here in the company. She visited us because India has a green party, a very respected one. They want to eliminate the combustion engine two-wheelers, which are hundreds of millions. I mean, just think about this. It's really, it's crazy. Of course, doing a development for a specialized India motorcycle, selling 200 motorcycles, for example, to Dubai. Even those countries are very interested in electric mobility. Guess what? They have all the 800 horsepower Mercedes, but no, electric mobility is also going on there. Then if I get this order from 200 motorcycles, I have to buy 400 wheels, 200 motors, etc., etc. So we are a little bit in a wonderful industry, but I think I'm an industrial guy, but we are in the industry that we need upfront money to buy our products where we assemble afterwards the motorcycles here. So those investors, yeah, that was nice with the soccer player. Finding new ones is not easy because we have a disruptive product. We have an electric motorcycles operating by pedals. Sometimes that first distracts interested investors. Hey, come on, does this has a market? I mean, Honda is motorcycle, isn't it? So yeah, we are on a way, we are actively searching, but it is not that easy because we don't enter the standard market for motorcycles. We are open up a new market like Dietrich Mateschitz from Red Bull did with an energy drink. If you would ask 20 years ago, I want to buy an energy drink, somebody would ask, hey, is there power in? Well, is there electric? What the heck? So this made the investor search not always easy, to put it diplomatic.
Okay, thanks a lot. We come back to this topic maybe later on. Now I want to introduce Nir. Nir, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Perfect. Great. So from that point of view, Nir, you are co-founder, chief customer officer of Chakratech, and also a Tel Aviv-based startup focusing on electric vehicle charging. Right. You have developed a kinetic energy storage technology. Can you explain it, what it is, what it means? Because my first thinking was, well, this is middle age, something like that, where the first flying wheel or flywheel generator had been developed, even much earlier, I don't know, but thinking about these ages, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your technology and your business approach. I know you have lived in Germany for a long time. You had a similar career, I would say, like me, so we haven't met, but this was quite funny. During our first call, that you have been working also in the telco segment and the IT segment so far. Yes. And from that point of view, what was the decision for you to leave or to move into, let's say, these new worlds of e-mobility? This is the same Andy explained, and some others here around. Also, the co-founder of Stefan Dengler, Volker Fricke, he came from IBM. So lots of, let's say, people from, let's say, the old industry and now moving into EV and EV charging.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for your time, for all of you. Thank you, Wolf. You're 100% correct. I'm speaking German like you, but with a Viennese accent, not in German, it's from Austria. But nevertheless, yes, I started at the telco industry, like a lot of us here. The telco at the beginning of the millennium was a new hype, telecommunication, new businesses, new applications. There was a lot to do. But after 10 years, 2010, it's starting to be a bit pipe. It's just another call and everything is going to ups, and the telco is just the carrying barrier of the calls. And not much added value. All added services went to the applications. What happened that a lot of senior and executive from this industry looked for another place, and lucky for us, the energy business started to go through the digitalization revolution, same as the telco went through at the beginning of the millennium. So you see, for example, if you remember 20 years ago, you had the bills from the telco, you didn't understand a word, and then you get the same thing in billing with the electricity and so on. So we are going the same revolution. Add to it that the e-mobility is also entering to this revolution. So you have now new platforms, new models, new business model, new needs, and this is the right place for startups to be there, because startups are changing much faster than the big organization. And then we found ourselves with the idea which we brought to the table. We said energy storage is a holy grail. It's something very, very, very important. So what is our added value from this small country, Israel, with a couple of entrepreneurs? And we said we have no added value to invent just another chemical-based energy storage. We have backgrounds and we research, and we came to the conclusion that flywheel energy storage is the next thing. And yes, we did not invent the flywheel. It was invented thousands of years ago. Even today, you have flywheel companies providing energy storage. And why are they doing this, and for which application? What is the big advantage of a flywheel? A flywheel is a high-power device, extremely high-power device, which can provide high power for a relative short time, instantly, with unlimited cycles. What does it mean? If you are based and relying on battery storage, a battery has a limited lifetime, 3, 4, maybe 5,000 lifetime cycles, which is perfectly okay for a car, because if you charge your car once a day, 5,000 cycles is more than enough. But if you have applications, demanding application, where you require a lot of cycles, not once a day, 5 a day, 10 a day, 20 a day, you need a battery which can withstand those multiple cycles. Now, having a battery for such application, and you have 4,000 yearly cycles, let's say 10 per day, about 4,000 per year, you would need to replace the battery every year. It doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable. So then we came up with the flywheel storage for battery application. Again, I remind all of you, we did not invent the flywheel, and there are flywheels on the market. But what we have done is the following. We said we want to bring the flywheel storage to applications of batteries, not to those high-end applications which are existing today. So we invented and patented the flywheel with a technology which enables us to compete with batteries, which enables us to bridge the gap between the goods of the flywheels and the goods of the batteries. We took the benefit from the flywheels, unlimited cycles, 100% depth of discharge, and instant reactions. And we took the goods of the batteries, continuous operations, and we developed what we are calling a flywheel battery. It's a flywheel which behaves like a battery. Based on this technology, which we developed the first 5 to 6 years, we built a system. We are not, our product is not a flywheel, our product is an energy storage system. So we have built a system which is meant for multi-cycle application and fast reaction. And as a startup, you know, we need to focus. We looked for what is the first go-to-market. And lucky for us, e-mobility was on the table. And the big challenge of the e-mobility is to provide a lot of power to charge the car. A lot of power, we are saying, let's say if you want to charge a car with only 150 kilowatts, it's like 10 or 20 flats. You don't have this power where you want to charge the car. So you need to do something. Now, doing something is very easy. You can go to E.ON in Germany, you can go to any other utility and ask them, please upgrade my grid connection. Well, they can do it, but the question is how fast they can do it and how much time and how much money it will cost you, because infrastructure upgrade is a big issue. So what is the alternative solution? You are boosting the fast charger at the location where it is installed, where you want it. So this came up to the conclusion that we will offer to enabling fast charging anywhere anywhere you want, not only where you can. Now you want to put some fast charger at the location where you said, this is a premium location because ABC, a lot of tourists, a lot whatever, but you don't have enough power, but you want to charge us. So what are we are doing? We are boosting the fast charger in that location with our storage technology, with the flywheel storage. Now this is on the business level, on the product level. Now, how does a flywheel store energy? It's something, maybe it's a miracle, no, but it's really not. What we are doing is, I simplify the explanation. We are taking energy from any source, from the utility, from the wind, from the solar, we don't care the source. Okay, what we are doing with this energy, we are accelerating a flywheel to the maximum speed, which means it is fully loaded. And now the energy was transferred into the rotation of the flywheel. Once we want the energy back, now the flywheel returns and turns now the motor, which is now acting as a generator, and brings us the energy back. And this is the way of storing and forwarding the energy. Last but not least, and I will give you the word again, this is totally sustainable because it's not a chemical battery, it's mechanical. You can use it for 20 years. It's like a car. You can drive a car for 20 years, get into the garage one day, and then you can drive for another 10 years. So it's totally mechanical, it's totally sustainable, it's a green storage, fast reaction, multiple cycles. And if I don't stop yet, I can talk for another hour. So Wolf, I give you back the talking.
Thanks, Nir. So from that point of view, very interesting because, well, you know that especially in Europe, we have these topics daily in the print or on the table. We have to improve our high power charging infrastructure. And that means, well, you have to install high power chargers, let's say anywhere in cities as well as in, let's say, not really attractive locations on the other side as well, where you know, for example, you do not have the amount of cars there. So that makes it from the investment side of these, let's say, utility CPOs, not really attractive. But the energy storage could help to improve the business model from that point of view, because you generate power and you store it. And if the pricing of power is quite high, then you can sell it. So I could imagine that the business model from your side to offer is quite, I don't want to say easy, but focused on, let's say, exactly those providers with high power or fast chargers from that point of view. And Europe is your core market, or have you also started in other, let's say, territories right now?
Okay. Actually, our first and early adopters and believers was Austria, where we have our first project with Wien Energie, and we have our live system at the Vienna airport right outside the arrival halls. Then we expanded to the north, to the Czech Republic with Škoda Auto, and then to the south to Italy with Enel X. And last year at the Corona time, we have set up our fourth system in Germany, in Leipzig. It was our first in Germany, our first indoor system. We built our system indoor in a hotel garage, which was lucky for us. And talking to the fire department, that they were very happy that we are not putting yet again lithium-ion batteries, fire-catching lithium-ion batteries inside the garage. So they were very happy with this. So it's a long answer to a short question. We started in Europe. We are now expanding in Europe to the north, to the Nordic countries, and to the west, to UK. And in parallel, we are this year adopting our system to the North American standards. And at the end of the year, we will have a North American system. We already announced a cooperation with Blink Charging in the US. And with Arco. Arco is the seventh largest convenience store, but the seventh largest in the US has 2,000 stores there. So, and they are going to, we have signed with them an MOU to roll out our storage technology with EV chargers in the US.
Great. Thanks a lot for your intro. Nir,
thank you.
Coming back to you in the sessions of a few minutes ahead. Stefan Dengler, welcome to our stage so far. Greetings to Stuttgart so far, and yeah, it's up to you. You are, yeah, let's say not a typical charge point operator, but maybe you can explain it a little bit what you're doing. What I learned, well, you offer, let's say, activities in the segment of wall box sharing on the one hand side, as well as building up charging blocks or charging infrastructure. But yeah, just explain it. What's your core business, and a little bit about your history and your size of the company and what you are currently focusing. So think similar activities on the utility side, like Near or Charlie as well, but a little bit different because you are, let's say, static, physical, limited so far.
Sure. So just let me give you a super brief introduction to ChargeIQ and myself. So hi, my name is Stefan Engler. I'm 29 years old, born and raised in Stuttgart, Germany, and one of the founders of ChargeIQ, a software as a service startup in the field of charging infrastructure. And our goal is to give you access to all of the hidden possibilities your charging infrastructure has, but you don't know of right now. But so how do we come to that? You already mentioned Volker, and it all started several years ago with him. He's my co-founder, and he was working in European e-mobility projects and driving electric vehicles for almost 10 years. And being one of the first EV drivers, he closely got to know all of the advantage, but also the disadvantage of what we believe the future of mobility. And one of the biggest pain points was, and still is, the charging infrastructure. It's still not easy, especially in rural areas, to get access to private or semi-public charge points. And that's exactly what we do. Our charge point management system, what's soon available for all of you, enables you to handle access and bidding management on your own, to offer solutions just like our product you can compare with the, let's say, Airbnb for charging infrastructure. But to prevent you from this pretty common Airbnb buzzword, just think of some close use cases. What about your friend coming over for an hour or two, drinking a beer? Of course, you invite him for the beer, or let's say a tea is better with driving, I guess. But donating him your electricity for the same time, that's not what most people agree with. So why not offering your charge point for his car, but for the same price you pay for the current? And it's the same with the holiday home you stay for the weekend. People asked us what it needs to offer their guests a charge point that's calculated fairly. It's only a connected charge point and our software to manage accessibility and pricing. And these are just two out of a lot of possible use cases we follow. That's what we define as the Airbnb for charging infrastructure. This service, called ChargeIQ, is one of the first services we developed. So stay tuned for even greater ones coming soon.
Thanks a lot. Yes, great. So let's move over to, let's say, all the combination of what combines Germany and Israel. We have these e-mobility topics, and from that, what we learned out of the discussion, we have different markets so far. Maybe, yeah, Near or Charlie, would you like to jump in? Because you're both focusing on the European market, and Stefan and Andy, well, on the one hand side, are moving more international, and Stefan more into, let's say, specific segments like fleet operators and so on. So, Charlie, what's your scope, and what's your target market so far? And how easy is it from your perspective to drive e-mobility powered or built in Israel to Europe or to Germany?
That's an excellent question. I think
because I know you already have the use case in the Karlsruhe region with a German utility and partner. So yeah, you already learned how easy or difficult it is to enable such, let's say, a cooperation or to partner on eye level. Because I heard a lot about, well, partnering with a big utility or big oil, which is moving into e-mobility, is not so easy. But you did it already, and you have a test case running. The same question to Near later on. But you maybe can start with the discussion so far.
Sure. So you mentioned our project in Karlsruhe with the AMBW. Yeah, and I think that that's an excellent use case, but we also have another one in Germany with BAST, if you're very familiar with. So we're experiencing what it's like to work with German industry and large companies and corporations. And I think from our perspective, it's a lovely surprise. You know, I think the Israeli startup scene, and I'm sure Nick can attest to this too, it's organized chaos. Well, it's mostly chaos. And then you try to create some order, and then you know, slowly you start building a company and a structure. And as you know as well, Wolf, at the beginning, you're doing everything from everything. So I think having these corporations, both at the state level, national level, and the corporate level, is very important to us, and it's eye-opening. It teaches us a lot about how first to present yourself, how to present the company and the technology, and what the expectation, you know, ultimately when we're at commercial scale, what the expectation from us will be. And I think, you know, from the German government and the industry, we're receiving a lot of support, which we're very, very grateful for. A lot of support in the automotive innovation sphere, but we receive it also in Israel. And so we're very happy. I would say that Germany is a little more organized in every aspect, but that's fine. You know, we adapt ourselves, and for the Israeli scene, and we're happy with any support that we get, and we're willing and open to working in any environment. So.
That's nice to hear. We had a deep discussion in the last weeks about bureaucracy in Germany and how we are over-controlled. So maybe we can learn a little bit from Israel. So from that point of view, Nir, you're also one of these guys who know this business quite well. Differences between Austria, Germany, and Israel. So is it comparable to what you learned from your activities? What Charlie mentioned?
Yes, I think so. As Charlie rightfully said, we are working fast. We are running fast ahead. But this is good for the first 10 steps. But then you need someone to come up and to organize you. What we have done is we have started with a little step into Europe through Austria. Austria is positioning themselves as an entrance to Europe, a small country with high standards, and we succeeded there. And I think this was our first class to enter to the German market. In addition, lucky for us, we found a local partner, a company called EES from Tübingen. My colleague from there, I think, is also here on the line. They assisted us to enter the German market in behavior. How do you need to tackle the bureaucracy is enormous, rightfully. I'm not saying it's not right, it's rightfully. And usually when a startup is working with such bureaucracy and with such standard, it's just making it better. You are getting to the next level. And this is what is needed. And lucky for us, we have good colleagues, we have good partners. We learned from it. We went to the second level. There is yet a long way to go, of course, for each and any startup. But we have their early adopters also in Germany. But we have proven ourselves there. And I think both parties benefited from it. We on the side of the good bureaucracy. And I think our German customer, Premierin, we proved how we can act fast, solve problems, not getting stuck with anything. You can imagine in such infrastructure project, you have a lot of problems. But we proved as Israelis that we are not stopping at the red light. If there is a problem, we will solve it. And this is a very good experience there. Thank you.
Good. So jumping over to Stefan. Well, you have just funded. You are not so old from the company, what's your topic at the moment to grow faster? I think it's comparable a little bit to that what Charlie and Nir mentioned.
Exactly. Just compared to Charlie, I wouldn't call them municipal utilities an industry. It's more administration, but I can understand what's the statement. So it can take a long time from the first contact to the implementation. But our products, for example, the dynamic user management, are exactly what they want, even if they maybe don't know it right now. But that's the point. sometimes takes quite a while to reach them.
Thanks. Andy, you as well so far. You're moving to the east and west as well, what we heard from India and US markets. So would be Israel a perfect proof of concept market for you?
Well, I think definitely, as Charlie mentioned, it's a smaller country, well organized in Germany. I'd say Germany is over organized, which makes it also a little bit difficult. But yes, I think any country which has cities, first of all, and I think most of the countries have, is interesting for any kind of our, let's say, street human hybrid, what we call our technology, human hybrid technology. I think what Israel makes it also interesting is we have a very visual product. You know, if an e-rocket stands in Berlin at the Kurfürstendamm, you can wait 5 minutes and 15 people are surrounding that product and saying, hey, what the heck is this? So a smaller country with a powerful marketing, just from the sales side I'm speaking right now, could be quite interesting. But also, I think the innovative point of view. I mean, Israel had examples, Shai Agassi, just to mention one thing, even if it failed, it doesn't matter. It was at that time hyper innovative. I was one of the people saying, hey, this will not work. But I said to a few things, this will not work, and I was terribly wrong. So no problem at all. But I think, yes, I mean, I think the technology in different fields which is coming from Israel. So yes, of course, in the moment we are in that situation that those countries who are willing to adapt disruptive technology, you know, like those people 15 years ago saying, why should I do with my thumb here on a mobile phone? It doesn't make sense. I have my Nokia and this is it. We know how it ends. So we would love to go in all the countries where the product is needed, but that's a capital thing. But as far if you ask me for Israel, I'd love to be there. Weather-wise, I mean, of course, you don't want to run a motorcycle in heavy rain, but we all know that. But also size of the country, of course, absolutely. I'd love to be there and present the product and see what happens.
Andy Wolf, just let me barge in for a second. That's exactly what I noticed. In Germany, we have a lot of regulatory and laws, for example, the renewable energy law and regulatory aspects, or the compliance with calibration law. And that really stops us from growing fast or from going to the market really fast. And I really hope this doesn't stop your innovative companies to come to the German market. That's just my opinion, what I noticed within the last year.
Yeah, I think Stefan mentioned exactly a very important thing. Nia said so nicely, what you can do is you can go to E.ON and do this and that. I think if you go to E.ON, you are lost. This is the problem we have in Germany, specifically, I think, in Nia's and Stefan's area, because we have these very nice, huge, big companies, and sorry, but all these people, yeah, they have a wonderful life, but that's all. A wonderful life in a company does not mean that the company is really moving society into the future. So absolutely agreed, Stefan. That's a big problem for you, probably more than for us, but even we are facing in finance areas. If you have a crowd investing, there are a ton of rules around this. So I think the bureaucracy is anyway a problem. I have a wonderful example. We get a no leasing company car, and then Sebastian, I'm not sure whether he's still in there, sent me the leasing contract, because it was one of these modern leasing platforms and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, this dealer where the car is in the Ruhr Valley of Germany sent me a 46 pages contract, 8 signatures. Then I have to go to Post Ident. So I have to go to the post office and tell them, here's my passport, this is me, send it back. And I thought, okay, that's it. Then the dealer says, okay, I have to license the car for you. Can you send me this, and this? So it's unbelievable. And I think in a lot of areas, of course, that's moving. But we are speaking here about urban mobility. I think we need a strong lobby situation. Wolf is really knowledgeable about that, to open markets. Switzerland, as far as energy, bringing private companies to households is concerned, is really ahead of us. Switzerland, which is sometimes, let's wait. No, they're doing it actively.
Well, you see lots of initiatives in these countries, like let's take the example, Israel as well as Switzerland. And what I've learned from the activities, even if you fail, you have a second chance, because we have seen this. You mentioned Shai Agassi, which was 10 years ago, working on battery and take them out and exchange it and so on. And now 10 years later, NIO is starting a use case on this in Norway. So a Chinese company is not testing it. Yeah, they are testing it in China as well, but they are moving to Norway because they mentioned, well, this could be an interesting market because you have a really high penetration of EVs, and that makes it so attractive. And the same we are thinking about. Well, we moved to Israel because the digitalization grade, from my point of view, is much higher than in Germany. So this is an advantage even for German companies. And well, you mentioned all the big utilities. They still have, let's say, offices also in Tel Aviv, looking or scouting for new startups and new innovation. So, well, they are there. But what I have seen in the past, that even the German Mittelstand, so the mid-size customers, they are a little bit out of this. So they are still in this, let's say, digital transformation phase. And it's the same if you're talking about a manufacturer or an automotive in this segment, or a tier 1, tier 2. So this is the same you have on that page. Yeah, that's, let's say, a little bit from my perspective, the gap. And what you have seen also, comparing it to other markets, the people I've seen on a flight to China or to the Silicon Valley, which I was years ago, they are moving more into Tel Aviv. So these are the guys you have on the flights to Tel Aviv right now. And that makes it also attractive because it's not, let's say, 6 hours or now 9 hours flight time. Yeah, that's also an issue. Not having discussions very early in the morning with a partner in China, or very late in the evening with US. So also an issue we have to compare and combine.
I can state to it, Wolf, with your permission.
Yeah.
You rightfully said we are 3 or 4 hours away from each other. That's it. Yeah. 4 flight hours, nothing. Yeah. And I think for infrastructure companies like Andy or for hardware companies, they can find in Israel a very good technological infrastructure, and something, we have a desert in the south of Israel, so they can test it in extreme climate condition in Israel with a very good infrastructure. And this is very appealing for them. And I heard a lot of colleagues from my colleagues in Europe that they are using it to test if it's not software, testing in a desert condition. So this is another added advantage.
Yeah, so thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. Very interesting. Yeah, coming to an end. It's 10 a.m. so far. Now we are moving over. Yeah, thanks again for joining. And hopefully we had some interesting information spent to our visitors and panelists so far. Mykolas is joining, and yeah, have a great time. Thanks for your time. Now we move over to Mykolas and the networking session. And yeah, so thanks a lot. Take care.
Yeah, thank you all, for all the panelists. Huge pleasure, very interesting panel. And yeah, we would like to welcome everyone to go to the networking, just exchange, ideas and business partnerships with other attendees. And please don't forget to come back to sessions at 10:30 Central Europe time for the second panel, Autonomous. Thank you for the first panel, and looking forward for the second one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.